Okay, Santos, this has been a long time coming, my friend.
Thank you, brother. I've been following you. I know you've been following my work. That's obvious. But I've also been watching your vids because everyone sends them to me. And yeah, I'm following you on Instagram. It's absolutely amazing what you're doing, brother.
Well,
And by the way, I kind of had a hunch that you were a syncretist type of guy. I just every time I watched, I thought this guy must know syncretism. And there you go, you do. I could
hey,
tell.
I have a way. It's a kind of a ritual for us to sync our energies. You want to do it with me?
Yeah, for sure, brother.
Okay, let's take your right leg, cross it over top of your left,
Hmm.
right arm under left armpit, and left arm on top. Yeah, left arm over top. Head to the left and body to the right. And what we'll do is take 6 breaths in, 3 through the mouth and 3 through the nose. So breathe in, 2, 3, through the nose, 2, 3. How does that feel?
That's it.
That's it. How do you feel?
Yeah, good.
That's it's I found that different ways to sync up the body, and I found um, that if we were in the same position doing the same thing with the same breath works, that our bodies would be in sync. Kind of like a synchronized swimming team or a synchronized dance team. It's like they have this magic that envelops them in this field that they just kind of know where everybody is. And when I do this, or when we do this, it sinks us into a bubble. And it's part of our ritual. We do it before we sleep. We do it before we have business meeting, or if we're talking over each other, we're not on the same frequency. So basically, what it seems to do is bring our organs into harmonic frequency.
Hmm, beautiful.
Santos, I don't even
I'm
know
all
what
for that.
I don't even know what your astrology is, to tell you the truth. I'm curious.
Aries, March the 24th,
Right?
24 hours a day. Yeah. Leo rising, Pisces moon.
Okay, that makes
A
a
lot of
lot.
fire. What
I'm
about you?
I'm a Sagittarius, December 20th. So in tropical, which I know isn't the most accurate, but tropical, it's 29 degrees. World mission. I have 14-degree Capricorn moon and a 21-degree Aries rising.
Yeah, tropical is the accurate system. Sidereal is not.
Okay, then we're on the same page. For some reason,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought somewhere.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Tropical.
tropical, I
And
know
by the
where.
way, yeah, sidereal is basically just astronomy. It's where you see, um, it's where you physically see the sun in a sign just slightly shifted from the tropical position. But here's the thing: it has to be tropical because the signs of the zodiac are not the constellations; they are on the ecliptic, and they are all 30 degrees each. That's why it can't be the constellations. It cannot be side. The eclipse happen on March the 21st and September the 23rd, and the solstice June the 21st and December the 21st. So that's the clock, and that's where the signs are. They are on the ecliptic. So every March 21st, Aries begins. Even though you go out, you see the sun is in Pisces, but it's not, the signs are not the constellations. The signs are the actual zodiac signs on the ecliptic with their glyphs, their symbols. Those are the signs.
Okay, so I have been doing it right. I was thinking I didn't want to take the time to learn. So I realized, and the way I studied astrology is I related it to the body, which first of all, I gotta say, so much, so infinitely much that it's so that I have to take and digest your stuff in small pieces because learning from you is like drinking from a fire hose.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. See, yeah, I'm not a TikTok 1 minute bite truther. I need 2 hours just to wind up to get to the juicy stuff. So syncretism is profound. I can't do 5 minute interviews. It has to be drawn out.
When you say syncretism, for people who are not aware of that, what do you mean?
Okay, so they can look in Wikipedia and just put the word syncretism in there, and it explains there that it is the science of the perennial philosophy, the philosophy that never goes away, always was and always will be, and it's nature. And syncretism syncretizes all fields of human knowledge. So that's what I've done with the torus field and the wave model, because everything is waves, everything is torus fields. So that's the basis for everything I do. And everything, every field of human knowledge goes back to the torus field. Everything. The Torah, um, the Bible. Why do they have bull and tor? Bull and tor? Because the torus field is made up of the hyperbola in the middle, the hourglass, and then the actor, distributor, uh, um, perfecter, pastor, minister. And then we have capable, reliable, Bible, table, stable. Well, we can see now that there's only one language. It's syncretism. It's etymology. It comes from atoms, comes from the atom, which is in English, and all the languages end in bull and tor, because that's the word of God, the hyperbola. It's the word of God. It's the speaker, sound and light. So what you see is all torus field, which people mistakenly call atoms, but fine, because it's still understandable. Atoms are torus fields, and torus fields are made up of three things. It is an atom, right? And it has a hyperbola in it, and it is a torus field. That's why bull and tor turn up in many words in many languages. Now, if you really want to understand that deeply, join my Patreon, all you listeners, and go back 6 months. And I'm doing the best work I've ever done in the private, because I've removed myself from the public. This interview is an exception. I'll explain why in a minute. But I decline interviews. I just teach privately on Patreon, and I've left the best syncretism for the private. The public arena is just not where I want syncretism to go. I want to teach people serious and deep, because even though everything I've released is deep and simple to understand, I want to go deeper, and I can in the private.
Right. Um, so First of all, I want to thank you because I know that you don't do interviews, and this is an exception. I put a call out to you, and I guess a lot of people reached out, and I appreciate everybody who did. I want to tell you first of all that I was running a clinical practice in Los Angeles, and we had 52 practitioners from all over the world, some of the best in what they did. And I am not from medicine. I'm actually from computers, from science, from business. And I'm a problem solver, logistics expert. And I got into medicine when no one else could help me. And I started developing a system of bringing all of the disciplines together. And in that process, I just couldn't resolve too many issues. Like sometimes things worked on people, sometimes they didn't. And it started leading me into things like, well, maybe there's a difference between a Taurus and a Sagittarius and a Cancer when you do treatment in. And of course, it led me into medical astrology, led me into all of these different areas. And I went in looking at it, and it was really confusing, first of all, because everybody seems to have a piece, but nobody seems to be able to put those pieces together. And you were the only one that I ever found that had put the pieces together.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what prompted me in 2011 to start a YouTube musician and into theology since I was three. So these subjects have always been close to my heart. And when I woke up, I was a teenager and did all the teenage thing, chasing girls, hot cars, stuff, and smoke weed, and so. But at 19, this is not. So I left the Jehovah's Witnesses in 2005 because I realized they ain't going to satisfy me. I knew that. I could see. I was I was conscious enough and aware enough to realize that they're not satisfying my spirituality. So for 2 years, I was in limbo. I was playing music, touring the world. And then in 2005, I won't, a friend of mine led me to a book called The Synagogue of Satan, speaking about how the Rothschilds and the Jesuits control everything, right? And then that book there led me to another book, which led me to another book. And then, so from 2007 to 2011, 4 years, I had accumulated a stack of books and I was reading 16 hours a day. But that's not new to me. I've been doing that since I left school. Since I was a teenager, I was reading Immanuel Velikovsky. I was reading Reen Norbergen, Alexander Hislop. They were all syncretists, right? So, but I didn't have it. I didn't have it all together. I had all the knowledge. I had a lot of knowledge in many, many fields, but I didn't have an idea that they could all be converged and taught in a syncretic fashion. And so the books I was reading led me to that understanding, and I got it. I realized all fields of human knowledge, they're all interconnected. Nothing is not interconnected. Nothing. Not even a butterfly flying past you. It's all part of how it is and how it's meant. Everything's interconnected. So I was watching Jordan Maxwell, who passed on, rest in peace, and he loved me. I mean, he was watching my work as well, and he actually wrote to me. He said, "Santos, what you're doing is what I've been trying to do all my life." He actually died on my birthday, March the 24th.
Whoa.
So, yeah. So, and about 12 years ago, he put out a list to all of his newsletter people, and you recommended 10 of the greatest researchers to research to know the truth. And yours truly was on the top of the list. And for me, it was very humbling because the guys under me, which I knew, I won't mention them, the other nine under me, these guys were like superstars, right? And he put me on the top. So anyway, but that's what prompted me to start syncretism, because I realized even Jordan Maxwell, all of these guys, all these books I'm reading, they're not joining the dots. They don't have the whole jigsaw puzzle. I already had it simply because I don't know whether it's a gift that I have. I don't profess to have magic abilities. I'm just a dude. But ever since I was very young, I always was aware of someone observing me. I knew that I was watching myself somehow, and I've always worked with that. I've always worked with that principle. I'm walking down to the river, and I could see myself consciously, not physically with my eyes, but I could sense that I was watching. There's a watcher. You're out. You're not in your body. We are not in the body. The body is just the vehicle. So there's more of us outside of us than inside of us. And that's the universe that we see. So if that's a gift, great. I don't know whether other people have that, but that's what I had. Everything I did, playing the guitar, talking to people, I was always the observer and the observed. And that's what we should be. So I started a channel because I knew I had the whole jigsaw puzzle, and everyone was holding 5 or 6 pieces, and that was good because you learn from that. You don't have to know everything to start a channel, and you don't know everything. I know I don't know everything. We know that. We're humble enough to know that. We're open-minded, but I knew that what they were missing, I had. So I just had to put it out. I just had to, because um, when you pay attention and observe, it's it's a no-brainer. The things that I teach, they're not mine. They're there. You can see them. You can research it. You can check on what I'm saying and what I'm teaching, and it's all there. It's all in the field. You just have to tap into the field. If you're recalling what you learnt at school and all of that indoctrination and what people's opinions are on this and that, if you're just holding those thoughts and you're not just going higher above in your consciousness and tap into the field, all the knowledge is there. It's all there.
So you're describing observing yourself in the field. Let me just answer, like, because you're bringing up a lot of stuff for me. I came into this like I feel like yourself, and I don't feel I'm special. I still don't feel I'm special today. But one of the things that you talk about in your field is people ask me all the time, because I'm an expert on fascia. Well, what is fascia? It's the interweaving interconnection of life. And people assume that life is here in this body. And I say that actually fascia, I kept getting this download saying, how many layers of fascia are there? And the download when I was channeling would say infinite. And I'm like, it can't be infinite. I'm right here. It has to be. And this is my early stages. Then I realized that fascia was the field. And as I could see, as that field on the outside, that field is very high frequency. And as I moved in towards the field, it got denser and denser. And then it even got denser right down into the bone. So the center of that field, that human experience that we
It's
call,
in the bones.
yes. So one of the things I was trying to resolve when I found you was we had put nerve conduction testing on a body so we could see the signal of a nerve. And then we put an EEG on, and we were tracking the nerve route up into the brain and back down into the foot. And that whole distance from stimulation to reaction was 1.5 seconds. And I said, wait a second here. How is it possible that that's the case? How do we, for example, how do we move when we step on glass then? And they said, well, silly, you're not a doctor. You don't know. You're not a scientist. This is a ganglion reflex. It's like this. And I said, that can't be, because when I step on glass, I don't just go boing. When I step on glass, I move intelligently to safety. And so there was one thing that was telling me that if, because in the current model, the way that the brain responds to stimulus, I go 1/1000, ouch, move. And I said, that doesn't happen. And then I thought about another thing. We have a prosthetic limb today. And that prosthetic limb, we can pick up something, we can drink. And I would ask them, so how does the limb work? Because it's not attached to my nervous system. It's sitting outside. So the conversation would say, well, it's your thought. And I said, well, thought is inside the body, technically, the way that they say it today, the way that science describes it. I said, how did thought get out to that limb? And then I would use the word intention. Well, so maybe it's intention that's the issue here. Maybe it's intention that's driving this. So then the question is where is motion generated? Is it generated in the body, or is it generated in the field? And the only thing I could say is that the field, think of it as a positive charge, think as the bone as a negative charge. And so the generation of motion starts in the field through the fascia, which is our liquid crystal, and then our musculoskeletal system moments behind it, just microseconds behind, and matches it, and it pairs for elegant motion. And if it mismatches, then we get jerky motion. And this made more sense to me. And this is where I discovered you. Two things, because I was working on fascia, and you said something really appropriate. Yeah, and I tested this. So in the clinic with 10,000 patients, including top athletes in the world, top celebrities in the world, I took the missing cell salts that you said by astrological sign, and I didn't put down Taurus and Aries and all. I put formula 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I knew nobody would accept it. And I started giving them cell salts based on their astrological sign. And when I did that, every patient, either in disease or performance, got better. That was you. And it was my wife that found you and made me watch it. And that's where I started watching and started learning from you.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, the tissue salt thing is so valuable. George Carey, an astrologer 100 years ago or so, he was a tissue salt guy, and he was a practitioner of health. I think he lived around 1930s, 1940s. Anyway, published a couple of books, The Tissue Salts of Salvation. And so I read those, and I understood that he based his work on Schussler, because they're called Schussler tissue salts. So this German physician, what he was doing was he was studying the remains of humans and animals, what they call the dust, the ashes of,
Yeah.
some people hold them in urns, their grandpa's ashes or whatever. Well, he studied those ashes, and guess what he discovered? He discovered that they consist of 12 tissue salts. So he thought animals, humans, consistently 100%, every time he tested the ashes, always, there were 12 tissue salts. Potassium phosphate, mine. Sodium sulfate for Taurus, yours. You're Taurus, yeah?
Sagittarius.
Oh, no, that's silica. I won't do them all, but anyway, Gemini is potassium chloride, etc., etc. So what he did was he realized that since we are in our mother's wombs for 9 months, we develop those tissue salts. So the moment we're born and we're outside of that nutrition place where we were built, now we are deficient in the sign that we're born in. We're deficient in which is Aries, the cerebrospinal nervous system. And everyone knows that potassium phosphate is the best tissue salt of all because it nourishes your nerves. Leo is magnesium phosphate. Well, because Leo rules the cardiovascular circulatory system. Sagittarius, your sign, that's silica. Well, Sagittarius is the muscular system. Capricorn is calcium phosphate. Well, Capricorn rules the bones. What do the bones need? They need calcium, but with phosphate. See, he's not just doing one mineral. They have to be combined, and they are in the ash. They're in the ash. They are exactly as I present them from his book. And so what he did was he administered 3 salts to all of his patients, just like you do, and their health improved. He cured them of whatever. And I've had similar results with people all around the world. I can tell you some amazing stories of people who their children were dying, right? I looked at the chart and I found, you see, I always, if someone's really sick, I don't just say, oh, you take the 3 salts. No, I look at the chart and see whether there are other debilities. And I found the very debility that her son, she lived in India, her son was suffering with. And I said, outside of his 3 salts, he needs these other salts. And those are the ones that will go directly to fixing his issue. And so I think I recommended about 6 salts. She bought the salts. She wrote back to me a month ago and she told me that her son was doing great.
So this comes back
There you
to
go.
a premise that I believe that you believe too, which is that we're a fluid adaptive biological computing system. And when our computer has all the components to transmit and receive, that there is no dis-ease. I always said dis-ease is the body's not at ease. So if I'm angry and I hold an emotion in my body, I'm not at ease. If I hold that long enough, eventually I'll be able to measure it medically, scientifically. And I find that when I hold an emotion, it's because there's a dysregulation in my system. And usually that's based on some sort of imbalance. And when we restore the balance, then all of a sudden the emotions start to process and the body seems to regulate itself. Is that sound accurate to you?
Yeah. And the tissue salts are alchemical. Remember that. It's not a regular salt. They've been triturated. So how you make them is you grab the basic materials and then you dilute them, and then you grab some of that and then you put them in another container and dilute them more, and then more and more and more. And so what you've got is you've got the finest nano frequency of those minerals. So when you're taking tissue salts, it's better than, like, I've got vegetable salts here, I've got Celtic salt, and I use that as well. But I always take the tissue salts because it's not just fundamental basic salts, which are good. They're good. I'm not saying they're not, but this is a higher level. This is nano. This goes straight to the mitochondria. That's why if you're a fan of salt, as I am, you can't get better than tissue salts. Simple
Right.
as that. It's alchemical.
when you say tissue salts for people that are listening that don't understand, um, is that as simple as going down and getting like Calphos or something like that in a homeopathic?
Yeah, yep, yep. Man, you can get it at Walmart, I believe. You can get it in any farm. Tissue salts are still, which is surprising, it's still mainstream. You can get tissue salts anywhere. The problem is this: they add things to it like sorbitol and lactose. And yeah, why? Why would you do that? So on my site, I have a Hungarian alchemist which makes the tissue salts for me,
Oh,
and they don't add any of that stuff in it. It's just the real stuff. So,
well,
but
I didn't
you
even
know,
know that. I had been I had manufactured it in our homeopathic pharmacy lab, and I put it as a tincture. But I'm since I don't have that anymore because I'm not in the clinic business, I'm going to send everybody over to your site to buy.
yeah, well, that way that they can be sure that they're not having additives and other things that, I mean, should someone want to just go to the shop and buy them and it's got sorbitol in it and they don't mind, that's fine. But I do.
Yeah.
I believe in purity and natural, only a natural thing. So
So,
that's the
so
difference.
since everything happens for a reason, I know you believe that too. And the timing of this even meeting tonight is, oh, for me it's night, for you it's the morning. Um, is that we're actually in a step 9 Aries day in Taurus. Is that kind of funny or what?
What are we in a what nine?
We're in a net 9 degree in Taurus. So we're 9 degrees
Yeah,
in Taurus. So this is a
yeah.
Aries day in Taurus.
It is Tuesday, Mars. Yeah. Nice. That's an interesting thing, by the way. Do you know the day you were born?
The day of the week?
No, yeah, like I know I was born on a Sunday. It's very important to know the day in which you were born because well, I can see it. I know I pick it all the time. I meet new people, and after 5 minutes, I say, "You were born on a Wednesday." How do you know that? Because Wednesday people, Mercury, communicators, commerce, merchandise, communicative, intellectual. Thursday people, they're very Sagittarian, Jupiterian. That's why you're always a happy. Sagittarius is the happiest sign because it's ruled by Jupiter. Jovial.
Yeah.
Jove is Jupiter. And if you're jovial, you're either, you're born on a Thursday or you're a Sagittarian, right? So me being an
I'm
Arian
looking.
born
I'm
on a
looking right now because I'm
yeah,
looking now. I've never thought of it that way. But I look at people from the degree from 0 to 29 degrees, and I usually observe after watching and learning from you. I observe the body type. I observe the behaviors, the way they work, and I have that usually worked out in my way. I work out. I usually say to people, "You were like May 15th, right?" Okay.
right.
I'm
Yeah, I do that too.
okay. That well, it's funny because you've got lots of Aries in you, and obviously, and I've got a Aries place that's 18 degrees in my Saturn. So Saturn is 18 degrees Aries, and my rising is 21 degrees Aries. I'm
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you're born on a Tuesday.
was
I'm seeing Tuesday energy, maybe Saturday.
20th. Okay, I'm looking right now because I don't know. That's funny. No, Friday.
Well,
Up Friday. Does that make sense?
yeah, okay. Yeah, it
Yeah.
does because all right. Well, reason being is um Venus people are passive, kind, sweet, They have a lot of luck. They not as much as Thursday people, Jupiter, but they do. They're wealthy. They're the wealthiest. Thursday and Friday people, they make a lot of money. Um, and the reason I picked Mars is because you are very active. You're very strong. I can see you've got very strong bones. I see the way you walk and move. You are very solid. Like, and I also, even though I'm very skinny, my bones are very, very strong. So it's very important to have strong bones. Okay, so when you look at Sagittarians, so here's a book which I have
That's
on
the one.
my.
Okay. This is it. Okay. Dan says, oh, that's the one I've been looking for because I saw you. I couldn't go back and find it. So it's Dance of the Zodiacs. Okay, great. Give me the. This is literally the one that turned me. This is the one where I believed in you.
So, for instance, have a look at the Thursday or the Sagittarius face. They've got the horse teeth, they've got beautiful teeth, big smile, and they're always happy. Now, if we just go to Scorpio, who's ruled by Mars, look at the difference,
Always
the
dark.
intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this doesn't work in sidereal, which proves that it's tropical is the only system, period.
Okay.
Because you
I'm
can
really glad you said that.
when you master this, you can pick people. And they if they're sidereal astrologers, they'll say, "Oh no, I'm Libran," and I'm saying, "No, you are Scorpio because I can see it."
Okay, so
And
I
you
finally, and thank you for saying that because I get a lot of questions and I I've always told people to stay neutral that because in some way it's true. If you have a belief system, if you are on Vedic or you're on sidereal, if it works for you, it works for you. But what I would say to people is if you try to cross them is where you start to get a problem. But I've believed because things like this, Sagittarius long, especially women, long torso, narrow waist, big rib cage, big shoulders, shorter legs, as an example, or Aries, usually bigger forehead, or Tauruses are more stout, or Geminis with the long fingers and the wide shoulders, right?
it's unmistakable. When you know what to look for, when you the all things are open to you. There's nothing. There are people who see the world through numerology. There's great numerologists, and they can explain everything with numbers. What date were you born? Okay, you're such and such, and you do this just by numbers. But astrology is numbers, letters, words, electromagnetism, waves, the four elements, fire, air, water, and earth. Astrology is everything, not just numbers. And
Hmm.
then when you see this, you can't miss it. You can tell, I can tell, you know, the element of the person, the main dominant element, whether it's mental and intellectual, whether it's emotional and sensitive, whether it's fiery and mystical, with fire, or whether it's practical and grounded and stable with earth signs, for instance. Right. So you can see the element, you can see the rising sign, you can tell their moon. And I've done this many times with people. People just say, all right, what's my sign? What's my moon? And what's my rising sign? Now, I've never ever picked all three. The most I've done, which I've done many times, is I pick two correctly, and I'll get one. I'll get the right element, but the wrong sign. I'm waiting for the day where I get all three. But 99% of the time, I get it because you know what you're looking for.
So Santos, I want to show you something because I wanted to actually get your opinion on something. I so I've been studying and I don't believe any I don't I believe that the knowledge isn't in here, the knowledge is out here, and I'm interpreting it. And I found I started finding my doppelgangers. It came with my brother first. And so, well, I want to show you something. Before I show you that, I want to show you my twin. So I want to show you. So you can see that we're twins, same hair, same eyes, same teeth, same coloration on the neck. So
Yeah.
one of the ways that you can know your twins is because all of a sudden you have, things that you can't mistake, like same feet. Okay. But the reason I set it up that way is because we're not from the same parents. And furthermore, I have 45 other ones that I found. But what is the same between us is we have the same code. Slightly different.
Oh my God, look at that.
So,
Well, that's actually, hang on, let me just check. That's actually the same chart at a different time, isn't
well,
it?
yeah, we are born on the same birthday, but the
Yeah, yeah.
difference is our moon is 2 degrees off, and our
Mm,
rising and our midheavens are different.
mm.
But Santos, I have 45 of them now, I found. And
Well,
what I propose
yeah.
is, since I use a numbering system from a friend of mine who's an astrologer, Christopher Witecki. He loves you too, by the way. He so I take all of the numbers on there, reading from this way, that way, backwards, and I use that as a code. And since I'm a coder, since I'm a technology guy, I say that that's the astrological code. And that astrological code is sending into the DNA, and the DNA is responding because the body responds to stimulus. And that's part of the stimulus, that all the energy of the earth comes through that code matrix. And then my body reflects back out. That's why when we have these similar attributes, we look the same, we act the same. And then furthermore, Santos, is that when I do something in my body, I can actually call these group of people, and I can find that they have changes too at the same time. So when I upgrade myself, they seem to upgrade themselves.
Yeah. I have a couple of friends who are syncretists who are developing an app in California. It's going to be an astrological dating app. So what you do is you put your date, you put your details in, time of birth, place of birth, and date, right? And you'll be able to hook up with people that were born on the same day. And this is gonna, I've been wanting to do this for decades because I know that once that happens, once we to data from say hospitals, police stations, court records, we'll be able to absolutely confirm that astrology is a perfect science and it fails in nothing. It is God's word. In fact, someone mentioned when they sent your video, they said, Garry, human garage guy, Garry, changed his life. So I thought, right, astrotheology, we're going to be talking about astrotheology, which is syncretism, right? So I thought, well, there may be Christians and people who think that astrology is a pseudoscience. So I wanted to say that theology is like magnetism turn up on its own. It's usually electromagnetism. We always talk about electromagnetism. So why in the past was theology called astrotheology, and now it's just theology. When all of these churchgoers who know that astrology is from the devil, they go to a monastery. That's moon and star, monastery. They go to learn to be a pastor, which means astro again, or a minister, moon star. So they go to a monastery. In Latin means from the stars. The P in front of the asta means from the stars. Or they become a minister in the Pentecostal church. Well, that's min is the moon and star. So astrology is from the devil. Well, why did you go to a monastery, and why are you called a minister or a pastor? And why is it that we hear that we are stardust? Well, wasn't Adam made from the dirt? And didn't the Bible say that you come from the dust and to dust you will return? Well, what's the star bit? Well, what you're looking at is a star, and what I'm looking at is a star, and I'm seeing dust. I'm seeing two things. Your spiritual nature is the star, and then your physical nature, you know that when your body passes, you know very, very well what's going to happen. You're going to be going back to the dust. In fact, here I'm going to name some stars. Now, people deny astrotheology. Well, why is it that I'm going to mention some names here, and the listeners can choose which one of these stars they are, because we're all stars, we're all stardust. When we're born, we're a young star.
Wow.
Then we have a sister who becomes a spinster, and then we see people who are slicksters, superstars, masters, movie stars, rock star, hipster, minister, magister, jokester, molester, seamster, roadster, songster, rhymester, barrister, pastor, monster, mobster, gangster, fraudster, jester, trickster, prankster, slickster, disaster. A lot of people are disasters. Imposters, hucksters, protesters, faster. Everyone wants to be faster at the Olympic Games, right? Speedster, bombaster, paymaster, suggester, requester. Every one of those is what every human being is. We are all of those, and we have what's called ancestors, a dynasty. We come from a dynasty. My Bonacci name is a dynasty, maybe. I don't know, right? So all of those words have the word star in it. So why are we called stars? And why are the ministers, stars, afraid to talk about astrotheology? And they just call it theology. Why? Because it's their conditioned version, which is a corporation which they can make money from all the dupes. And instead of telling them that they are pastors and ministers and that they know the stars, it's funny because in the Bible it says God knows the stars all by name. Why wouldn't we want to do the same as God? If God knows each star by name, why do we want to ignore the stars and say, oh, yeah, well, God knows the stars, and why does it say in Amos, look up and pay attention to the stars? Why does it say in Job 32:38, do you know the Mazzaroth, Job? Do you know the circle of the sky, the zodiac? Do you know it? Do you know where Orion is? Yeah, this is in the Bible. Do you know where Taurus is? Do you know where Aldebaran is? Rigel and all these important stars? Oh, no, that's all from the devil, but it's in the Bible.
It's, I never get bored listening to you because you make so much sense. Um, and I feel like when, the comment that you said earlier is that you observed yourself. So when I was talking earlier about how I observed the human experience, like a lot of people, even in religion and belief, is they say, I have a soul, or I have a field, or I have an aura. And I was thinking it from another way. So the human experience is this field with a human in the center. So I don't have an aura. There's a field that has a human. And and it's the narcissism of humanity to believe that they have a soul when the soul says, I've had 40,000 of you. You're just another shell in which I express myself simultaneously through different time zones, different states of awareness. And when you were talking about observing yourself, so my first recollection of observing myself, my sister owned a roller skating rink when I was a kid. I was 13 years old. And I was observing myself in I was in a roller skating contest, and I got outside my body. I won the contest. And I remember watching myself skating. And I had no recollection of what, like for me, I remember going to my sister and saying, she was my mother. And I said to her, I said, I just saw this experience where I was outside my body. I was controlling my body from the outside. And then that experience, for the most part, left for a long period of my life, except for a period of heavy drug usage, where I would get into those states, in different states, where I would be observing myself. I would observe my own, I would narrate my own experience almost. And so your description of that is the way that I say that the reason why we don't all live there in our field, I believe we all did at one point, but I believe that when the body's stressed, under stress, we go back into the lowest, rudest part of us, which is in the animal flesh part of us, and we are no longer the observers. And that's the I am that I am. It's, the I am that I am, I believe was changed from EYE, the observing of myself, to I, the capital I, which was a beam of infinity that's capped, and the little I is a infinity with a head on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So people who invite the observer into their lives, they will start seeing this, that we are all in fact the same person or being with different personalities or individualities. So the personality and the individuality are two different things.
Mhm.
So my personality is Leo, my rising sign. That's my personality, Leo, flamboyant, fiery, aggressive, right? But my individuality is Aries. That's the true tribe that I belong to. My body is in a Leo body, but my spirit is in a Leo, Aries spirit, and my soul is my Pisces moon. Okay, so you will always be Garry, I'll always be Santos. We will always be our individuality, right? But we will always be connected, and we will always be the same being, always. It's inconceivable right now. It's just something that is inconceivable, just like contemplating the source creator. It's inconceivable in these bodies. You may have an experience where you meet that source, or where you realize that, or where you see that. But when you come back into your body, that experience, even though it's true, you're not working in that you're not working in that mode anymore. You're now back into the personality, and you have to, because that's the only way you will get pain and pleasure, learning and suffering, and evolving. It has to be that way. If you're always in the field, like these people, these hermits that meditate all the time, then you'll be dysfunctional with interacting with other people. So you and I, even though we are field guys and we tap into the field, we we also like to have our own personality. I like to crack jokes. I like to be cheeky. I like to be. So I'm not going to lose that, even though I know the field is there and it's divine, and I'm totally a different individual there. It's a superior place in many ways, but I like having fun in this skin suit and doing the things that the skin suit does. So this is why it's so important to know the trinity of your astrology. Where's your ascendant? Where's your sun? And where's your moon? Most people just know that they are Sagittarians or
Sure.
Capricorns, but no idea where their moon is, no idea where their rising sign is, and how important it is for them to know that, so that they know that when they're interacting with people on the first time, when they meet them, let's say you've got an important meeting, right, with someone. Well, you have to know one thing, that the first thing they see is your rising sign. That's the first thing they see. So with me, it's Leo. I need to know that Leo is scary, it's powerful, very, very powerful, and it intimidates people. I find often that people are intimidated by me. I'm only 5'6", but they're like, I'm not. I'm not intimidating. It's my Leo rising. Same with Scorpio rising. It's very scary, right? So it's not scary. It's powerful. It's an active sign. It's not passive. If I had a passive feminine sign rising like Pisces, water, or Taurus, earth, it's slightly different. The fire, when you have a so when you meet someone, you know that you're projecting fire energy. I'm Venusian person like you, born on a Tuesday. I'm a Sunday, so it's a bit more active. The sun is not really active. It's passive. It's active. Venus is purely passive. All right. So all these things come into play. You can do some hacks to change how people perceive you the first time, because the first impression lingers for a long time. So if you come out with if I, for instance, if I'm at a meeting and I come out with my Leo flamboyance, think of all the Leo performers: Mick Jagger, flamboyant; Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin, flamboyant; Madonna, flamboyant; um, uh, Marilyn Monroe had a Leo rising. She was Leo rising is the perfect rising to have to be a performer or a musician or an actor. They're all Leo. Most of the actors have got something prominent in Leo. Just check it, and you'll see. And so, if I do that, I may impair or condition that first meeting with that person. So I've got to get out of my personality mode, which is Leo, and then go into Aries and Pisces and show them my soft Pisces side, or my uh, um, Aries is childlike and humble on the good side. On the negative side, it's rambunctious and aggressive. But I can put on my Aries humility and my Pisces sensitivities, and I'll leave my Leo outward look to the background. I'll hack. I'll do a hack and see. So you can manipulate. You can manipulate how people see you, how people understand you by knowing the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. Not all astrologers agree that one or the other is the most important. For me, the most important thing that I need to know is the sun sign, then the rising sign, then the moon sign. But they're all equally important. But I'm just the type of astrologer that first of all, first and foremostly, I want to know their true higher self and what's inside and who the real person is, because the sun also, it's not just your spirit and your higher self and your intellect and your in the others, not so much, especially the rising sign. It can't do what the sun can do, or the moon. The moon is in India, in sidereal astrology, the thing they want to know is the moon sign. A lot of tropical astrologers, they ask people, what's your rising sign? So, it's the three. It's the three. If you don't know your three conditions, your three, spirit, soul, and body, you won't navigate this world. That you don't know what the point is, but there is a point because you came here for a reason. You do have a purpose and a calling, and yet most people never find their gift. They never find it, but it's in the chart. I can find your gift in 10 seconds. In fact, when I do my readings, 90% of the time, I don't want to look at the chart before I talk to the person, right? So I get on the Zoom, I see the person, and then I open up their chart and I go, right, okay. I can just sum it up, all of it, in 10 seconds.
Do you consider yourself an astrologer or an alchemist?
Um, a syncretist, just a
I
syncretist.
think that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
you'd be proud of me because I know the astrology, or at least the birthday of every single person who waits on me, who drives me, who comes into my presence of every meeting. And I know the astrology of every single person that I've met since 2020. And I've been tracking it. And I have because the number side of me is just fascinated by the fact that these people keep coming in patterns right before, like, yesterday, I had all 12 astrological signs in a grandmaster state come into my presence physically yesterday. That means to me that something big is about to happen.
Yeah, look, I have an auntie, my father's sister. She just some people have what's called a photographic memory. I don't have a photographic memory. You know, if I spent a whole hour talking to someone, right, and then I go away and someone says, "What was he wearing?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't have that memory. I have so many people writing to me saying to me, "How do you remember all this stuff?" Um, it sounds like you know everything, which I don't, but how do you keep it in your mind? No, I don't. I keep it in my heart.
Mhm.
The truth that I teach, the syncretism, it's in my heart. It's like a little child who says, I know the alphabet off by heart. They never say, I know the alphabet off by mind. You'll never hear a child say that.
Wow.
Off
I know it, but
by heart.
oh my goodness. Wow.
It's
Wow.
the heart. The heart is a mind.
Yes. Well, I believe that. So, like, for example, I tell people all the time that we are a fluid adaptive biological computing system. And if you want to talk about how to remember, if we were to dismember the body, we would cut it up in pieces. If we were to remember, we would take the pieces of information and we would recall it. So it's remembering is to pull, is to recall from the pieces of us. And I, since I'm about fascia, I actually, in the way I see it, and I'd like to show this to you sometime in person, is that I see the way that even the body itself, what we call the physical body, I see the fascia in 10 rings. We have 10 inside organs. Each ring is controlled by an organ. And it doesn't look that way when we cut up the body, but it's how it works. And I can actually anecdotally prove it by showing and touching somebody and showing them. And so the idea that is by heart is because it's at the heart of us. And the heart sits in the 10 organs, the heart and the bladder. The heart sits in the actual center of those layers. That's the way I see it. And I've been working on a way to describe this to people because it's not, there's nothing out there that describes the body in this way. But when I touch it and show it to you in that way, it's one of those things where once you experience, you can't think another way.
Yeah, yeah. Look, see, everyone has a different way of learning, right? Some people are visual, other people don't need visuals. I use a lot of visuals when I do my presentations because I'm a visual,
Yeah.
right? Even though I don't have a photographic memory, I don't have I don't have anything that I have that is like outstanding. Some people, they have lucid dreams every day. I'm not that person. Some people have healing powers. They touch someone and they're healed in 5 minutes. I don't have any of that stuff. I have magic. We all have magic. I know what my magic is, and my magic is to understand that everything is interconnected. Therefore, you must be able to, or should be able to, explain it, not describe it, explain it. So when I'm doing a presentation, I'm explaining how everything is interconnected. I'm not just telling it, I'm showing it. So it covers all types of people and how they learn. Because even with all the graphics that I do, most people don't have a photographic memory like me. So how are they going to remember it? Well, you have to appeal to not their intellect and their ego and their mind, their heart. Even Isaac Newton said 300 years ago, even though his theory of gravity is just a theory and it's never been proven, but he did say something very, very handy for me, and especially years ago. He said, the reason that people don't invite God and the Holy Spirit and the truth into their lives is not because of their mind, it's the heart. The heart rejects the truth. It's not what they've been taught. Oh no, my pastor said Jesus had a red beard and blue eyes. He wasn't black. And that's the Jesus that's going to save me. No, no, no. If you had this information in your heart, Isaac Newton clearly said it. It's what stops people from advancing is their mind. Is their
Yeah.
is their heart.
Yeah. Because they don't have the heart.
And so that's what it means to have a good heart.
Yeah.
Right? You can do bad. Everyone does bad shit. Everyone's got a few skeletons in their closets or things that they regret, shame, guilt, and whatever. That's not the thing. The thing is developing good heart, because the heart is the soul of the individual, and it's also directly connected to the pineal gland, the glands, there's more. There's the claustrum and the pituitary and the optic thalamus, etc. There's a lot of hippocampus, a lot of things that make the spirit. But the spirit never change. The spirit is the spirit. What changes is your body. You get older and then you die, and that's change. Your soul changes as well. Well, that's the heart. See, so the heart is the servant of the soul, as the mind, the brain, is the servant of the spirit. They are both subsets of each other. So when you're talking about spirit, its servant is the mind, the brain, the glands, the pineal gland, the eye that sees, etc. When you're talking about the soul, that's the heart, the soul. And that the soul is to grow, because you can lose your soul. You can lose your soul. You'll never lose your spirit, but you can lose your soul. It is losable.
Right. So when you drink spirits, is that why it affects the state of the mind?
Yeah, yeah. Alcohol is
How cool.
it's something you know. It it depletes your force field, which is your aura, which comes from Taurus, your Taurus field. That is protecting you all the time. When you drink a lot of alcohol, it shrinks,
Yeah.
and entities find holes in your soul, which should be whole, right? With a W in the front,
Right.
not HOLE. So they find not wholeness, they find holes. And they go in, and it takes 1 month to get rid of that demon, that entity, when you get drunk.
And 1 month is
It takes a whole,
one moon cycle, right? 28 days.
yeah,
And then,
yeah.
The
You'll
odds,
be possessed by entities a month when you get drunk.
yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't drink alcohol. For instance, in the last month, I've consumed a whole bottle of vodka. I take a shot every day because it smashes the parasites. It just absolutely, the parasites go to hell with one shot of vodka a day. Now, I haven't had vodka for 40 years, but I'm admitting and telling everyone that I did that as a parasite protocol. I'm not going to do it again. Probably will in 5 years' time, but a shot, it's not going to demonize you. It's not going to weaken your force field,
But it's like
but it's
anything
going to
else,
kill parasites.
everything in proportion. When I was working in the clinic, I was collecting emotions that I wasn't able to move through my body because I was working 5, 6 days a week. And I started drinking more and more and more. It was like 1 day a week, then two, then three, then four. And um, and that was part of why I decided to leave clinic, because at the time I didn't know how to balance it. And it was also leading to this new way of thinking and teaching about the body. But I can consistently confirm that constant alcohol consumption, what happened is it put me in a state where I was constantly felt like I was under attack. And it was a catch 22. I was using it to try and calm my system down because I didn't know why. At Santos, on 2020, myself, my two partners at the time, Cynthia and Jason, we started with a 44-day fast. Didn't intend it to be 44 days, but we did. And that was a turning point for me, because from there, my body had reset itself. I was through with the addiction of food, through with the addiction of alcohol, through with the addiction of my emotions. And from there, I started pivoting and changing. What do you think about fasting, and do you fast?
Oh yeah, all the time. I do intermittent fasting. So I'll start eating at midday and finish at 6 o'clock. I eat 6 hours a day.
Yeah, me too.
And then yeah, that's all you need. Just a couple of meals, maybe even one, and just nibble on fruit and stuff during the day. But I start at midday, putting solids in, and 6 o'clock, actually it should be 5 o'clock because um the bo after 5 o'clock. So if you're eating at 6 o'clock, it's too late.
Can you
But
give
I
us
do.
one more time? I missed that. After 5 o'clock, what happens?
The stomach stops producing hydrochloric acid.
Right.
That's
Interesting.
that's the cutoff.
Yeah.
So we should be eating our evening meal before 5 o'clock because after that you're putting food in. It's digesting, sure, but it's not the same. And you wake up. If you eat a meal at 10 o'clock, you will wake up tired and sluggish and pathetic. If you have your meal before 5 o'clock, you watch what happens the next morning. You jump to bed like you're hungry, but woo, it's totally a different thing. But I just do want to mention something. I do other fasts as well. I did a 62-day fast, just liquids once, and 3-day fast, 4-day fast, many, 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 many times. But I just want to share with you and your listeners one of the best, best, best things you can do for energy. On the new moon, uh, and I would suggest you do it on every new moon, like I used to do. I stopped it for a couple of years, but you do a liver flush and a gallstone flush. So how you do that is with olive oil and citrus. That's it, and drink it. So uh, for the listeners to learn how to do protocol that any human can do. It just flushes all your liver stones. Now, liver comes from live, to live. And that's why Sagittarians are always happy because they love life, they love living, because they are liver people, right? Aries are cerebral people and nervous. Aries rules the cerebrospinal nervous system. Taurus is the cerebellum and the endocrine system. Gemini is the twin hands and the twin lungs, the respiratory system. Cancer is the digestive system. Leo is the cardiovascular circulatory system. Virgo is also digestive with a cancer. Um, Libra is the renal and urinary system. Scorpio is the generative system. The 13, not 12 and a half, not 9, 12 Chinese acupuncture meridians, which are in your body, just like your 12 cranial nerves and the 12 body systems that I'm explaining. To finish off, Pisces is the integumentary system and together with Cancer, the lymphatic system. So Cancer should be more lymphatic than digestive. Virgo's digestive. So I'll just correct that. But um, these are, if you don't know, if you don't place the human being on the ecliptic, you'll never understand astrology.
I completely agree. And that so I started also living my day on the circadian rhythm. So planning meetings, like when I want heart-based meetings, I plan it there. I plan it during the heart time. If I want to build belief, I do it during stomach, as an example. And I started trying that in 2020 because I had no time clock to adhere to. So I said, what if I actually start adhering my day to these cycles? And unbelievable things have started to happen.
Yeah. So I got a little bit sidetracked there as well. I want to just finish by saying that all about liver flush. The guy to study is Andreas Moritz. Andreas Moritz. You can still see him teaching how to do the liver flush correctly on the day before the new moon or on the day of the new moon. And let me tell you, just doing one of them will transform your life. It'll transform your life.
I'm
Keep your liver
open.
clean. Stone.
Uh, you know,
Yeah. And
Santos,
it's free.
would you? I want to spend some time and dissect a little bit more of you and what you're teaching. And I really want people to who are especially interested to follow. Would you be open to me coming down with a film crew at some point and putting cameras on, talking for a couple of hours deeply about this?
For sure, brother. For sure. I'm open to that. In fact, I've got three or four people lined up that are coming to visit that want to do similar things. So it's interesting because all of a sudden, I retired a year ago, I announced it. All of a sudden, people like you, and I can mention others, I won't mention their names, but they're all turning up and saying, Santos, uh, we really appreciate your syncretism, but we can see that you know, you haven't really taken advantage of all the things that can make it more. It's interesting. It's given me another wind, and I'm thinking seriously about a date or a time when I will come back and just do interviews like I used to, you know.
Because
Um,
I have a
but the break,
I have a like to put it in perspective, we've got about 5 million people on platforms and we get about 120 million views a month, and we're taking this whole thing onto television through streaming platforms. Um, I believe it's the time for this knowledge to rise. And the knowledge needs the challenge with that, I said when I started, is that even myself, I have to weed through all of these different conversations to get to the truth. But you have this unique way of bringing everything, all the truths together by weaving a thread through it. And this is where I feel that people who are leaning this way, they want your knowledge now. And I'm just going to say that also when I saw you talking back then, people weren't ready. I mean, I was just becoming ready, and now people are they're starting to look for answers, and the answers that they're getting aren't out there. They're looking around for religion, for other systems, and they all explain something. They all do something good, otherwise they wouldn't be around. But stop working, and that's just what I found in medicine. Everything, all the ancient practices and all the medicines, they work until they stop working. And that means that there's something missing in them. And I believe that what you're doing is the something that's missing in them.
yeah, yeah. Well, syncretism sorts all that out because with syncretism, you cannot make one mistake. Like a Swiss watchmaker, he's got 400 little gears and he's going to make a miniature lady's watch, right? So he's got his magnifying glasses on and he's looking down and he's got his tweezers and he's putting them all into place. If he finishes the watch and then he looks over to the right there and he says, "Oh, there's a gear. I missed that gear." That watch is not going to work. So to make a watch work, to make syncretism work, you can't get anything wrong. And how you do that is you have to have vast knowledge. When I left school at 14 and a half, because I knew that, uh, well, I felt that I was way more intelligent than my instructors. They were boring. And I was like, so I got caught smoking. I think it was the third time, and the vice principal called me to his office and he says, Sammy, you got two options. We're going to expel you from school or you can just walk. And I'm like, I kept a straight face and I thought, all of my dreams have come true. This is the last day of me being in this freaking indoctrination, government dumbing down, brain damaged school. So the first thing I did, I remember the day after I left school, I joined the double day book. I bought historical books, alchemical books, and even though I was reading theology since I was 3, I left school and I already had my own library and I was just sitting in home and just reading. You have to read books. You do. You still, even though you know everything and you will remember everything and it's in the field, you still have to read books. You still have to read knowledge from others that have gained that from the source and the field, which you still haven't remembered. So whatever you've learned from me, it wasn't mine. You didn't learn it from me, right? You remembered it. I just triggered the memory because I'd already, right? Other people remember more, other valuable things, which I still haven't remembered. I haven't got a clue who I was maybe in a past life. I don't know. Other people, they know all their past lives and all whatever, and they know this, and I don't know that stuff.
Well, Santos, I really also want to. I have a feeling that when we get together, I have a feeling that this access of fascia, these fascial maneuvers. So for me, I started doing these maneuvers, and these maneuvers came through a series of memories or inspirations. And there was two things. One of them is that every posture is a fetal position. It's counter rotated. Number two is they're inspired by Greek statues because Greek statues, I believe, were left as encoded information to tell us how to heal the body or perform in the body, but they took away the meaning behind them. And and I have a feeling that in the activation of you, I have a feeling that something is going to come out that's there for a memory or to be remembered.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty certain that that's going to happen. I'll make it happen. I'll make the things that are lacking that other people are really, really, really great in. We will all have those abilities. They will be restored and they are being restored. That's why the world is changing. There's not just wars and people trafficking and adrenochrome parties happening. There is a lot of beautiful things happening right now. And the winner, here's the bad guy doing all the naughty stuff, and here's the good energy coming. This guy is the winner,
Yeah,
the right-hand path. It's coming. It won't be long that many people will remember all the things that are taught in syncretism. They won't argue about it. Knowingness. Everyone will know all things, and everyone will have all the qualitative things that God, the source substance, gave us. You see, we all have a special gift. And if you don't find that gift, you have to come back. Or I don't know, because I'm not into this, I'm not big into this repetitive reincarnation cycle thing. I do believe that some people have reincarnated many times, but I do believe as well that you can come in one life and you can ascend in that very same life. You do not have to come back.
yeah, I agree.
Right?
I just
Yeah, of course.
was the remedial guy. I just took a lot of times. But I do believe, Santos, that everything in my study and everything in my field and everything says this is my last time. I believe that what I'm bringing into the world right now, with over 50 million people doing this and growing by over a million a month, I have governments and people all over the world that want to work with us now, like instantaneously overnight. And because what I stewarded into the world was these fascial maneuvers, which radically shift the consciousness of the body by moving emotion to the body and reducing stress. And but the reason I made them free of charge for the world with no intellectual property rights is because I don't believe I own them. But I do believe it's a way that human beings are evolving. And I don't think it's the only way. I know that there's multiple, but that being said, I also, as 29 degree Sagittarius, the way I've studied it is that, and it makes sense that this is my last time. So this is my contribution to the planet.
Yeah, yeah. What I see in your work, I've seen many of your videos, many of them over the past few years, is that you've found your gift,
Yes, I have.
right?
I have.
So, and that in turn will bring you satisfaction, fulfillment. Two ways make me happy is syncretism and my guitars, my music, right? So, and of course, everything is music. This is a whole musical universe concerto. This is all made and brought to you by music. In fact, when you go and see your favorite performer or any performer who has ever performed in the history of history, they only do two things. They give you sound and light. And that's what God is. The word of God is sound and God is light.
Hmm.
Duh, says that in the Bible, which everyone reads. So whenever I look out there, all I see is sound and light. When I go to a Rolling Stones concert, all they give me is sound and light. They don't give me lollipops and flowers and helicopters. They just do sound and light. And that's all that there is. It's just sound and light. Let the light pour in. See, people are afraid of the light and new truths. Their minds have been trained and indoctrinated to stay close to what they were taught because the authorities have the truth. Well, truth is the authority. Authority is not the truth.
Yeah.
So, teachers have authority. Doctors have authority, even though Wikipedia tells you that the leading cause of death is doctors. But people still go to their doctors for their poisonous chemicals.
Hmm.
And they haven't read in all of the
Terms of service.
journals from the WHO and from the UN that say the leading cause of death is medical. They've got authority with their white robes and all their PhDs on their wall and everything like that, but they will kill you for sure because they are drug pushers and they love drug blood money and they don't care if you die with their chemotherapy or whatever. They don't give a flying damn. They care about their beautiful house, their Mercedes Benz, and their image of authority, but they're murderers. They are nothing but murderers in the general, in the main. I'm not talking about these good doctors who are, a car accident victim comes in and they put their bones. There's some great doctors, but I'm talking about the industry. I'm talking about in the curriculum of school. I'm talking about the politics and governments on the systems that they run. There's nothing wrong with politics and government or teachers or doctors. It's the systems that they implement. If only they knew syncretism and what you know, we would default back to all things being good and beautiful.
This is fantastic. So let's end this here. I'm going to arrange with my team some time when I'm back in America to come out and spend some time with you. I feel called to deliver something to you from myself, and it's a component of the things that I've learned to you that have morphed themselves into a delivery system that I want to show you with your hands and with my hands. Um, so Santos, when people want to follow you and learn more about you and study from you, you have your Patreon. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, on all of my videos, on the current channels that I have everywhere, e- everywhere you can find my Patreon. It's free. You can join for free. I understand that many people just do not have money. It's free. But if you have money, it's $1. How about that? $1 a month, and you can go back and you can get the best syncretism that I've ever released. It's private. It's not out there. If you want the best syncretism, and I'm currently on part 6 of how to see everything through the eyes of astrology, series of lectures, of presentations. So I would jump on now, watch the 5 that I've already done, and you'll be a master eventually. By the time we get to part 7 in 2 weeks in astrology. So I would like for everyone to, I think my Patreon is called Mr. Astrotheology or something like that, but the link is there. And I really do want to do most of my work in the private. If I do come back out of retirement, yeah, I'll do some public stuff and stuff like that, because I've found that even though a year ago when I was planning this retirement, I told everyone on Facebook, I told everybody on YouTube and Instagram, I am now going in the private on Patreon, and still today, every day, I've got people who have been following me for 10 years and my work for 15 years or whatever. They're still saying, oh, you haven't done anything for a year and you've disappeared. And no, no, I told everybody, I told the world that I will still be active. I will never stop teaching syncretism, but I'll only be doing it in a different mode
Sure.
in the private. So here's a good chance for me. You've got a big platform
Yeah.
to let people perhaps that have followed my work for a long time. I'm still doing syncretism. It's
Okay.
happening every week, and you're missing out on it. And there are not many other good channels out there these days. There's a lot of mush on YouTube, not a lot of nice stuff on there. So yeah, Patreon, it's free.
Okay. Awesome. I'm super excited and looking forward to coming visiting in purpose. In person. I'll contact you on offline the way that we got in touch with each other, and I'll start sharing some stuff with you in advance. I have a feeling that when we come together, a spark is going to happen. I just know it. Somehow I'm called to spend time with you. So. I thank you for all that you do for the world. You're an amazing human being. Um, People who watch my stuff, I don't very much listen. I'm always talking, and for you, I can listen forever. I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. And by the way, if you have a big team, below me there's an Airbnb that hardly ever gets rented. My friends Nick and Crystal used to live there, but they left for Minnesota a year ago. So there's a whole house under me that's rentable, and I've got 2 spare bedrooms. So depending on the size of the team that you bring, you can stay on site.
Slowly
You
take
don't
a
need to
breath
book hotel.
and inhale
Perfect. Can you hear that?
and
Yeah, I heard that.
exhale.
I have no idea what I came.
Relax.
Okay, here, let me figure this out. It just started going. That is just.
Again, inhale through your nose.
Someone's jumped on the call.
Hold
I
it.
think even jumped on the call.
As you exhale, relax.
I just
There
started.
you go.
Yeah, we'll go off, and I don't.
There you go. That's
Hey, was I going in and out for you sometimes?
yeah. What was happening was there was a bit of a lapse, but none of your words were lost because there was a break of about 3 seconds. But everything you said in that 3 seconds, when your mouth was moving, it caught up and delivered it. So I got everything.
So,
It's cool.
so I'm going to see how the recording comes out. Um, if this recording goes bunk, I'm going to get to a high bandwidth site. I'm being hosted by the royal family here. A little bit about what's going on is we have this movement system that takes 75 to 90% of the stress out of the body in the first 7 to 10 minutes. It moves the fascia. You'll get it once I explain it to you in detail. If you want to try it, go to our YouTube, do a 15-minute stress reset and an organ reset. Just do those two. I'll send them to you in the chat. You'll get it right away. I know you will. It'll have a shift for you. So we're launching with the Philippines government. They're putting 1.5 million people through our coaching program. And I'm here at the UAE. I'm meeting with the Crown Prince here next week. And the government systems around the world, Santos, they know, except for the United States, they know that they're fucked and they don't know what to do about it. And they see what we're doing and bringing to the world is working. And so it's like coming out of a cannon. I'm going into India, and the government is their NGO that puts resources for the billion people in the rural areas through 235,000 participants, is training their 235,000 participants to do these fascial maneuvers so that they can bring the new yoga fascial maneuvers into India. And that's happening. I'm meeting them in September. It's just all happening overnight. And I feel that the reason why we're meeting now, and what's ironic, it's a 9-degree day, so it's an Aries day in Taurus. Manifestation. We're manifesting leadership into the new world. And I had a shitty day. Like just one of those days where I wanted to fucking shoot myself. And this conversation has brought me back to life.
Yeah, well, brother, I look forward to when you come. The sooner the better. And I'll say one thing to finish: that what you're doing, and that what I'm doing, and the ones that we know around us that are doing similar things, all of the governments of the world will be coming to us very soon.
It's
They
happening.
will not. All of the systems will fail. The medical Rockefeller, fossil fuel chemicals that's all going. They're going to come to you, me, and all of the thousands of great minds who have tapped into the field, already know the truth, all the truths, and that everything that this system has given us is fake, phony, and false, and they'll be coming to us. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's not a prediction.
That's already happening. I have the numbers and scale. We get 1 million questions a month on our platforms, health questions, and the health questions are telling us the system is failing.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know why? Because you and I killed it. We're very powerful.
Yeah.
That's why. And everyone else listening that knows what they did to contribute to make the world better. In fact, every time you speak something beautiful out of your mouth, like, may everyone be happy, may everyone be wealthy and prosperous, that will go into the field and it will kick out the evil, the ignorance, and the lies. So speak more truth, even if no one's listening. Put it in the field.
Yeah.
Grow the good field, and watch what happens. One day we are going to be in paradise forever.
I'm so excited. I am coming down soon. So thank you again. And